Welcome to the Evangelism Podcast. I'm Daniel King, and I'm excited to tell people about Jesus. Today I'm here with a special guest, Joel Crumpton, great evangelist. Thank you for being with me today.
It's good to be with you.
Well, tell me a little bit about you and your ministry and what you do.
Well, I've been in ministry for many years. One of the things I do that I guess most people know me for is I carry a big 10-foot cross. I'll go to different cities. I've been across America a few times. I did several major cities where I carried the cross, and people come out and ask me, why are you doing this? And then I can minister to them on the street. And we see a lot of people saved, healed, baptized in the Holy Spirit right out in public on the street. I've also been in other countries doing it. I have a cross that they built for me in the Netherlands, have another one in the Philippines, another one, a couple of them in Africa, different countries in Africa.
And so as you carry this 10-foot tall cross, what response do you get from people? What are they saying to you?
The biggest response and the most common response is people say, why are you doing this? And my response to that question is, I came out here to find you. God sent me out here to find you. And many times, I know that if an unsaved person comes up and asks me, why are you doing this? They're wanting me to talk to them about Jesus because they're not going to be surprised if I bring up heaven or hell or God or Jesus because I'm carrying a 10-foot cross, for crying out loud. So
it's a conversation opener.
It is. And it separates, the hardest thing for Christians is, and when it comes to evangelism, is finding someone to talk to who's willing to listen. If you've got a 10-foot cross and someone approaches you, they're asking you to talk to them. So it narrows it down tremendously. It's like, you'll see if I go down a busy street, for instance, in Atlanta, and people see me coming, the ones that don't want to hear what I have to say, they're like the parting of the Red Sea. They'll just kind of move away. And then the few people that do want to talk to me will come up to me and ask me why I'm doing it. So it's a perfect opportunity for me to talk to somebody who wants to hear what I have to share.
And share with me some of the testimonies. What response have you received from people?
Well, there's been so many. I've been doing this since the mid-'90s. And so there's a lot of interesting stories. I can tell you stories of people approaching me. Like, for instance, during the pandemic, everybody most Christians were at home hiding under the bed, afraid they might get something if they went out in public. And it was driving me nuts. I thought, I can't stay in the house. People are going shopping, and that means they're driving. And they're going shopping where there's Walmarts. And I always say, jokingly, Walmart is the saving place.
Walmart is the saving place.
Walmart's the saving place, so I'm going to go near Walmart.
So you have an opportunity to go to Walmart and tell people about Jesus and save them from their sins, and maybe save a few cents when you buy a thing of cereal at the same time. Right.
So I'm walking past Walmart, and I had gone down maybe a mile past Walmart on Marketplace Boulevard in the city where I lived at the time, and we just moved since then. But a car pulls over, and it's a man and his son, grown son. He says, hey man, why are you carrying this cross? And I said, I came out here to find you. He said, what? I said, yes. And then I got a word of knowledge. I said, which one of you guys has back pain? He said, we both do. How did you know that? I said, I don't know anything about you, but God knows everything. I said, I've got good news for you. The kingdom of heaven has come near to you guys today. I said, if you'll just get out of the car and let because everybody was concerned about the social distancing thing. I said, if you guys will just get out of the car, and I don't have to touch you or anything, just get in the shadow of me and the cross, and God's power will heal both of you right now. So the guy said, well, my son's is worse, I'll let him go first. So I said, just move over to your right a little bit, and so that the shadow of me and the cross falls on you, and Jesus will completely heal your back. So he gets in the shadow, he looks at his dad and says, Dad, I feel heat going through my back right now. He said, I feel the pain going, Dad. I'm serious. I said, is there any pain at all? I said, do something you couldn't do without pain. And he starts bending and twisting. He says, I don't feel any pain. He said, probably if I picked something up, I would feel pain. I said, pick my cross up. And it's a 10-foot wooden cross. So he picks up my cross and he says, I don't feel anything. I said, you just got healed. His dad saw that and jumped in front of the cross and was instantly healed. I didn't even pray for him.
Wow.
Jesus just healed him.
What a great miracle. Tell me some of the other testimonies that you experienced.
Well, I mean, I've had a lot of people during the pandemic pull over and ask me, and very similar to the one I just mentioned to you about the man and his son. It's another one that did that. But sometimes I'll be carrying the cross, and God will just set up a divine appointment in other ways. For instance, one time I was on, I think it was Barrett Parkway in north of Atlanta, which is an interesting name of a street where you're going to be carrying a cross. Barrett Parkway. I don't know if you caught that. Barrett.
Okay.
Barrett Parkway.
And you're bearing the cross.
I'm bearing the cross. So somebody asked me, why did you go on Barrett Parkway? I said, until you asked me, I never thought about it. Anyway, I'm walking down Barrett Parkway, and I'm passing by a restaurant. I think it was Chili's. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But as I'm passing it, I look and I see, and I'm on the sidewalk way up a bank from the restaurant parking lot to the main street there, Barrett Parkway. And as I look to my right, it's right at dinner time. So the sun hasn't quite gone down yet, but there's a lot of people waiting for a table sitting outside in this little area outside the restaurant. So I look down there, and the Holy Spirit speaks to me and says, "Stop and stand the cross up." So I thought, okay. So I stopped and stood the cross up. And then he says, "Preach to these people." And I said, "Lord, they can't hear me from here." And he said, "Ask them." I said, "Excuse me, folks, can you guys hear me down there?" And they all nodded their heads, and I said, "Oh, no, they can hear me." I said, "Lord, I don't have a message." He said, "Just open your mouth wide, and I'll fill it." So I thought, well, I just thought of a scripture. I thought, well, the Bible, I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, let me get your attention for just a minute." I said, "The Bible says that the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are saved, it's the power of God. Which one is it to you?" And I began to preach. As I'm preaching, the Holy Spirit speaks to me again and says, "Give an altar call." And I thought, Lord, how am I going to give an altar call? I'm on the sidewalk way up here on top of a bank, and they're down there across the parking lot from me. How am I going to do that? He said, "Call them to come up to the base of the bank, to the bottom of this bank down here at the edge of the parking lot." So I did. I gave an altar call. Nobody responded. And I said, "Lord, nobody responded." He said, "Bind the devil out loud and watch what happens." I said, "Lord, they're going to think I'm crazy if I do that." He said, "They already think you're crazy. Just go ahead and do it. Just obey me and do it." So about that time, a whole table full of people, a big family was called in. Their table was ready. So they went inside, and after they got inside, I said, "Folks, I'm going to bind the devil, and when I do, you're going to have a split second to get up and come up here and show God you're not ashamed to follow his son, Jesus." So when I did that, I bound the devil in Jesus' name, and the front door bursts open, and a young man comes almost sprinting out to the edge of the bank where I was on the sidewalk, points up at me and said, "Sir, if you'll come in here and let me buy your dinner, I won't drink anything else." I pointed back at him and I said, "Sir, if you'll come up here on the sidewalk and kneel down with me and surrender your life to Jesus right now in front of all these people, you'll never drink anything else that's alcoholic." And he paced, and he was warring. The Holy Spirit was working on him. The devil was working on him. And finally, he climbed the bank and got down on his knees and surrendered his life to Jesus. So he said, "Come on in and I'll buy your dinner." I said, "Well, first I got to put this cross back in my truck." So he followed me to the truck. We went back and went inside the restaurant. He told me what his experience was, why he came out like that. He said, "I'm listening to you preach, and it was like you were talking directly to me." He said, "When you said, man, some of you, your heart's just pounding in your chest." He said, "My heart was pounding in my chest." He said, "When you said, some of you feel strange, you feel something drawing you." He said, "I felt strange, and I felt something tugging on me." He said, "When you said you got a split second to come out here in front of all these people," he said, I'm inside the restaurant with my family, and I couldn't stay in my seat." He said, "I kept getting up and pacing." And he said, "My girlfriend and my kids were at the table, and my wife's parents, or my girlfriend's parents." He said, my girlfriend looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "I've got to go back out there." And she said, "Well, do whatever you think you have to do." And that was when he came bursting through the door and came walking up. So that was just one. I mean, he got saved. I've seen many people get saved. One time I'm carrying the cross down the street from there, and I noticed as I turned around to come back, I'd gone about maybe 2 miles, turned around to come back, I noticed a woman and her son were walking up a side street, and they were going to arrive at the corner I was headed toward at the same time that I was. So I saw them coming. I thought, man, we're going to get there at the same moment. And I just said out loud, "This is interesting timing." And they both looked shocked that when I said that. And the woman says, "What did you call him?" And I looked at him, and I knew what she thought I said. I said, "Your name is Tommy, isn't it?" And they freaked out. "How did you know his name was Tommy?" And I said, "I didn't, but God did." She thought I said, "This is interesting, Tommy." But I said, that's my southern accent. I said, "This is interesting timing." I said, "God knows everything about you, Tommy, and he knows about you too, Mommy." I said, "This is your son." She goes, "Yes." And they just hung on every word I said. Both of them prayed with me and surrendered their life to Jesus right there in the corner.
How did you get started as an evangelist? How did this passion for evangelism develop in you?
Well, when I first got born again, I was partying, before I got saved, and I was in a rock band, and I was just a crazy person. And when I got saved in my office by myself, nobody was preaching to me. I gave my life to Jesus. The moment I got saved, I thought everybody needs to know what I just learned, because I didn't know. I guess about 2 weeks after I got saved, I realized I don't have any desire for the stuff I used to do. I thought that if I ever got saved, I would be miserable wanting to do the stuff I enjoyed, sinful things. And I thought it would be miserable wanting to do it and not be able to do it. Well, when I got saved, I thought, man, I don't even want it anymore. Everybody needs to know this. So that's what got me started doing evangelism. I didn't know what I was doing at first. It took me a while to finally learn how to do it correctly. So now what I do is I equip people on how to bring souls into the kingdom through miracle evangelism. Not just words, but not just persuasive words of human wisdom, as the Apostle Paul said, but through the demonstration of the Spirit and of power. So people, when they see miracles, they go, "This is real. This is what I want. I want this."
So your focus is on miracle evangelism. What are some of the miracles that you've seen God do?
Wow. Well, I've lost count of the miracles in the last, for the first 25 years before I got a revelation on healing. I had prayed for sick people, and I'd maybe seen 20 to 25 people get healed in 25 years, not maybe one a year on average. After I got a revelation about 18 years ago, now it's been almost 19 years ago this month, I saw more people healed when I first got this revelation 18 years ago than I had seen. I saw more people healed in 1 month than I've seen in 25 years. And I wrote a book about it. It's called "You Can Do the Works of Jesus."
You can do the works of Jesus.
You can do the works of Jesus, and people are reading it of all ages. I'm talking children up to grandpas and grandmas are reading the book, putting it into practice, and they're seeing the same miracles that I see, the same miracles that Jesus did, because Jesus said that in John chapter 14, verse 12. He said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believes on me will do the same works that I do, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go to my Father." So one time, now I wasn't carrying the cross at the time, but I was at a men's gathering, and a young man who wasn't saved was in a drug treatment program in this church where we were having the men's gathering. Well, he wandered in while we were having the gathering. It was about midnight. It was on New Year's Eve, actually New Year's morning, very early, about 1 o'clock in the morning. So he's standing over there with dark sunglasses on at 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought, what's he doing with dark sunglasses on? Well, the gentleman that invited me there addressed him. His name was Brandon, and said, "Brandon, how you doing on your drinking?" He said, "I haven't had anything to drink all week." And my friend Wade, who was asking him about it, said, "I know you're not telling the truth, but we don't want to condemn you. We want to pray for you. We've been here all weekend praying." So he said, "Joel," he turned to me and he said, "Joel, I know you want to leave." And I did. I was already dressed to go. He said, "I know you're ready to go, but can you help us pray for this guy first?" I thought, "Sure, I'll help you." So we began to pray, and the Lord showed me something about him that he needed me to pray about specifically. So I asked my friend about it, and he said, "Nobody's ever prayed for him for that, I don't think." I said, "Can I pray for him?" He said, "Sure." So he got his attention. He was already on his knees. He said, "It's okay if Brother Joel prays for you about something." He said, "Sure, that's fine." So I said, just out of reverence, he still had his dark sunglasses on. I said, "You mind taking your sunglasses off out of reverence to God?" He said, "I don't mind." So he takes his sunglasses off, and his eyes are clenched tightly shut. I said, "What's wrong with your eyes?" He said, "I'm blind." I said, "I didn't know you were blind. Is that why you're wearing the glasses?" He said, "Yeah, I was in a chemical explosion 4 years ago in a closed trailer with ammonium chloride exploded right in front of my face and burned 4 layers off of my eyeballs. Bleached all the color out of my eyes, ruined my tear ducts so my eyes don't make tears and I can't see." And before I could stop myself, I said, "Well, I've got good news for you. The kingdom of heaven has come to this." We were in a big gymnasium where we were. I said, the kingdom of heaven has come to this gymnasium. I said, if you'll let me put my hands on your eyes, Jesus will completely heal your eyes, and you'll be able to see again right now. When I said that, I thought, what did I just say? I wanted to grab those words and put them back in my mouth. I thought, oh, no, I can't believe I said that. Of course, everybody in the room was freaking out, going, what did he say? The guy that needed healing said, well, I hope so. I said, just let me touch your eyes, and you won't have to hope so. So he said, okay, so I'll try it. So I put my hands on his eyes, and I said, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, be healed. Eyes be open. Vision be restored. Thank you, Lord, for healing this man's eyes. And I'm shaking. My hands are shaking, not because I was anointed, but because I was nervous. I was scared. I thought, what if nothing happens? I'll be embarrassed. But see, I've learned something. Fear is a feeling, but it can't cancel faith, because faith is an act. If you act in faith, whether you're afraid or not, God will honor it, and he'll watch over his word and perform it. If you tell him what's going to happen before you minister to him, that's what I did. So I took my hands off his eyes. I said, now open your eyes. He opens his eyes and clenched them right back shut, and he said, I can't. It's too painful. My eyes are very sensitive to light. I said, man, you've been like in a dark room for 4 years. You got to let your eyes adjust to the light. Give it some time. So he keeps trying to open his eyes, and sure enough, he gets them halfway open, and you see these milky-looking gray eyeballs. I mean, no color. He's a black guy. So he had no color in his eyes at all. He said, he was looking around, he goes, I can see a little bit. I can actually see a little bit. My wife's going to freak out. I said, hey, there was a guy in the Bible that Jesus prayed for who was born blind, and he could see men that looked like trees walking around. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want somebody driving a car that I was in if everybody looked like trees walking around. I would want them to see better than that. So Jesus didn't just say, man, that was the best I could do. Jesus prayed for him again, laid hands on him a second time, and then he could see clearly. I said, if it's okay for Jesus to do that twice, then before the person got completely healed, it's okay for us too. He said, okay, do it again. Now, I got this crowd of guys around me. It wasn't a big crowd. It was maybe 8 or 10 people. But they're like freaking out, and I'm starting to get excited because I'd never seen a blind man healed. So I put my hands on his eyes again, did it again. I said, now open your eyes. He opens his eyes, and he starts screaming, I can see, I can see. I almost fainted. And I turned my back to him because I was overwhelmed, and I lifted my hands and began to praise God. And my friend that knew this guy, he's bent over looking right into his eyes. And I hear my friend behind me that's looking into his eyes scream, yeah! I turned around to see what he was screaming about, and he's leaping backwards because he saw something. He grabbed me by the shoulders, and looking with intensity, he says to me, Joel, I just saw a miracle. I just watched the color come back into the guy's eyes right in front of me.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Well, I was already peaked out in excitement, just praising God. So I had to do something. I had to react because that was like shocking. I just started running. I didn't even know where I was going. My friend that saw the miracle, he passed me. He was excited as I was. The guy that was healed ran home, and miracles just started popping like popcorn. Another guy got healed of a tumor on the back of his knee. It disappeared. Another man got healed of chronic upper respiratory infection, was slammed against the wall by the power of God and healed, stuck to the wall, pastor. Another guy was healed of chronic, acid reflux, and he was instantly healed. I mean, miracles just started popping. And they had people kept getting healed and having experiences with God the rest of the evening. It was powerful.
That's amazing. What a miracle ministry. Well, if someone wants to find out more information about your ministry, what is your website?
The website is thebpom.com. It's THEBPOM.com. And I've got a connection to my Facebook page where I'm always posting testimonies. And you can get my book. You can do the works of Jesus on the website as well, and some other. There's articles and videos. There's some YouTube videos on there that are equipping videos. They're very short, maybe 30 minutes or less, that people can watch and get equipped to walk in miracles. And people can even be healed watching the videos or receive the baptism in the Holy Spirit.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being on the Evangelism Podcast, Brother Joel.
Thank you, brother.
Daniel King is on a mission to save 1 million souls a year, but he can't do it alone. Would you consider sowing a financial seed today? To give, please visit www.kingministries.com.